Hey everybody, today is Thursday, March 26th, and as you remember, today is a corporate day of prayer and fasting, and you can find guidelines for that on the front page of our website, forestparkcov.org, under the announcements section. As you scroll up, it's in the day one announcements, and it just highlights some thoughts that I've had about fasting, and they're not just my thoughts, they're thoughts that people have collated together over the centuries. But one of the persons that I've read a lot about in terms of fasting is a professor of mine named Scott McKnight, who wrote a book called Fasting, the Ancient Practices. And I'd really encourage, if you want to read about what fasting has meant biblically, I think that's a really good place to go. One of the things about fasting has been historically that it has changed over time from the biblical norms to sort of church norms, and those are really great. Like, one of the church norms is to think of fasting as a way of thinking about our interior being, that as we fast from food and drink, we begin to understand that that hunger that we feel is the kind of hunger we should have for God. So if you go to Psalm 42, you see this idea of the person who hungers and thirsts for God. And that's a really great thing. And I've fasted in that way, and I know a lot of you have also. And it teaches us about our need to hunger first and foremost for God. But there's another one that Scott McKnight talks about, which is that it is really an expression of what our body is actually feeling. So if you go to the scriptures, you'll see that fasting is done within the context oftentimes of national repentance and a desire to grow closer to God that actually helps us to understand we have fallen away from God in different kinds of ways. So this is one of the phrases that Scott McKnight says. I'm just reading it from my Kindle on my phone. He says, "Fasting is the natural, inevitable response of a person to a grievous, sacred moment in life." And then he says, "I believe fasting is natural. Choosing not to eat or drink is how a person naturally responds to a grievous, sacred moment." So I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you're grieving or upset, you lose your appetite. So in fasting, in a grievous moment, we find ourselves really upset and we lose our appetite. And so what I would really encourage you is to realize this is a really, really important moment in our society. And as we're experiencing this throughout the globe, we're finding ourselves in solidarity with people who are in deep, deep need. And one of the persons that's close to me, my future daughter-in-law, Kaylee, is a ER nurse at the University of Michigan, and just watching her posts and realizing that we need to be in solidarity with people throughout not only our county here and our city, but also our state, and then our nation, and then the globe is really, really important. And one of the ways we can do that today is by refraining from food. And so I'd encourage you, what I'm doing is a modified fast. I'm just drinking coffee. I might drink a little bit of juice for the next 3 meals, and then I'll probably either break my fast tonight or break it in the morning. But just know that not only me, but many people in our community of faith are praying and fasting. And as you pray and fast, pray for our church leaders, pray for our state leaders, pray for our national leaders, pray for the people who are on the front lines in the medical profession, pray for New York City and places like that that are under siege. And I pray for the Lord Almighty to just be in our midst. Think about ways that this is causing you to use your hands and your heart and all the different kinds of pathways we've been talking about to serve the Lord. I know that we're all really looking forward to being back together, as am I. So in the meantime, we're going to be praying and fasting today, and be posting on Facebook or whatever way you need to about how God is speaking to you in this time.